when the new BAR management decided for financial reasons to go with Ricardo Rosset instead. In Formula One today, there are two schools of thought regarding overtaking. One group says that there needs to be more passing to make races more interesting. The other says the fact that there is very little overtaking makes passing more exciting when it does happen, because it's so hard to overtake, drivers must now rely on passing during pit stops. But even that can be very exciting if you know what to look for. The last race in Montreal is a perfect example of modern Formula One racing. This is Michael Schumacher in attack mode. He has 2 pit stops planned, and he knows that David Coulthard in front of him is planning only 1. If Schumacher is to win the race, he must get by Coulthard and stretch his lead to make up for his extra stop. When Coulthard's car brakes, Schumacher looks to be in pretty good shape. Then, after Schumacher has made his first stop, he's behind the new leader, Giancarlo Fisichella, who's planning to stop only once. Now Schumacher is in stalk mode. He doesn't have to force the issue with Fisichella. He's waiting for Giancarlo to pit so that he can crack off a couple of fast laps on a light fuel load. This should put him in front after the pit stops have been completed. Of course, his 10-second stop-and-go penalty changed all that, forcing Schumacher to really push in his second stint, and he responded setting fast lap after fast lap after fast lap. This allowed Schumacher to get out just in front of Fisichella and led to his victory. Today, races are also won and lost because of the way a driver works through back markers. Now, last year at the German Grand Prix, Gerhard Berger was leading, but he had to make his second of 2 pit stops, and his main rival, Giancarlo Fisichella, had already made his only stop. Knowing that every second would count, when Berger came up on traffic and lost a few crucial tenths of a second, he despaired, knowing that he would lose the lead after his pit stop. Indeed, he did come out second, and the race appeared to be lost. As it happened, Fisichella made a mistake which allowed Berger to get by and win. In the years that Michael Schumacher battled with Damon Hill, Schumacher's strategy always seemed to work, and Hill's never did. Michael Schumacher is different than most drivers. He is in constant communication with the pits and his team's brain trust. He's instrumental in planning the race strategy, and he's always talking on the radio throughout the race, making sure the proper plan is implemented. Although there's been only 1 pass for the lead on the track this year, there's been plenty of excitement because of several times where the result of the race has been in doubt pending the outcome of tactics involving pacing and pit stops. With me now are Derek Daly and David Hobbs. And Derek, what do you feel about this passing issue?
Well, I think you have to remember, in the modern era of Formula One, the reason there's very little passing is because of the staggering performance of even an average F1 car. To say it's boring, to me, is like saying baseball is boring. It is, unless you understand the game. And if you understand Formula One technology, the commitment of manufacturers to get 1,000th of a second out of a new product, the commitment of the team and then the drivers, and understand what might happen with strategy, then to me it becomes fascinating. David?
Well, I think the whole thing too is compounded by the fact that aerodynamically these cars are so very difficult to pass each other. When they're following each other down the road, there's a huge hole in front of the car behind which needs all that air to push it down on the road. So coming out of fast corners, they always have to hang back a little bit, which means that to try and get up to the guy to overtake him into the next slow hairpin is extremely difficult because all the brakes are so incredibly good as well. Alan Prost, of course, has got a theory now that he doesn't want to see pit stops because he wants to see the driver come more into the equation, and he also would like to see stick shifts come back because he said always you could guarantee that when you were really hounding somebody, somewhere, sooner or later, they would miss a shift and you'd go by.
Exactly. Now, before we go to break, here's a quick update on the U.S. Grand Prix. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the latest venue being considered as a possible site, as early as the year 2000. Las Vegas, San Francisco, Atlanta, and Dallas are also being considered, and promoters and other track representatives have all had meetings with Bernie Ecclestone. Now, recently, from what we've been able to determine, there is no front runner right now, and organizers are fighting hard to prove that they can best satisfy the sporting and commercial interests of Formula One. Now, cars have been racing in France for 100 years.